Hello everyone, welcome to my channel where we talk about the things we love like gaming, shows, and anime. So I've been looking at some random game reviews and opinions about the Ninja Turtles games and which one is the best, and of course everyone is still saying that Turtles in Time is by far the best Turtles game out there. What do I think? It's great! I had a lot of fun playing it on the arcades, and then I had the same feeling playing it on the Super Nintendo. Except for the fact that it only had 2 players on the home console. But do I think it is better than the Manhattan Project? Well, since I'm sure you'd rather stick to your own opinions, I'm simply going to do a comparison to show which one truly is the best of the two. We're going to make this a score review and pick on everything they got. Now, let's begin by comparing the graphics. So the graphics on the NES can only go so far, but did they even try to make the game look good? Hell yeah, they did. Every image in the game looks very colorful, and that's tough to make for an NES game. You can clearly tell who you're controlling, who the Foot Clan is, and where you can go or where you can't step on. Most games on the NES have that problem of making floors seem like you can walk over them and then you fall, and that pisses you off. Here you won't find that problem anywhere. Trust me, I checked. You really can tell that they worked hard on making the game look as good as it can be. You can't tell the difference between red and orange. I have to say that because many games have that problem on the NES, and here you can tell whether you're controlling Ralph or Mikey. Now let's check on Turtles in Time. Graphics? Very impressive. They also tried their best to make the game look good, which is really important when there's over 20 different looking characters in the game. Every level feels unique and they make it easier to tell where you are. Same goes for the Manhattan Project, but at moments when there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time, the game will slow down a bit. It's not an issue to complain about since it recovers right away, but Turtles in Time doesn't have that problem, even though there's a shitload of stuff going on at the same time. I mean, it seems about the same thing as Manhattan Project, but they added a lot more details in the game of Turtles in Time, so even though Turtles 3 went all out with the graphics department, I have to give this to the Turtles in Time game. Only because they had a lot more to work with and they made every detail count. Ninja Turtles 3, 0, Ninja Turtles 4, 1. Now for the next round. The sound. The sound effects for both games are perfect. Ninja Turtles 3 again has the disadvantage because Super Nintendo can offer more, but every effect does sound exactly like the effect it represents. When you get hit, it sounds like you got hit. When you hit metal, it sounds like you hit metal. Everything from weapon hits to explosions, Ninja Turtles 3 did not disappoint for shit. Turtles in Time did a fair job with the sound effects as well. There aren't any parts where I was confused to what I heard. And again, Turtles in Time has more to work with, but they did it. Every sound effect sounds legit. This one has to be a draw. I would have said that Turtles in Time would win this round only because it has more things going on, but the amount of sound effects are limited by about the same that the Ninja Turtles 3 game shows you, so both games get 1 point. Next round, the controls. Let's start with Ninja Turtles 3. How much can you offer when all you have are 4 buttons? A, B, select, and start. But you can't use the start button as an attack because that is used to pause the game, and the select button couldn't work for being an attack button as well. Honestly, who uses the select button for an attack, right? So it can only use 2 buttons, A and B. Does it work? Yes, it does. A is to jump, B is to attack. Then you have a special move, which in order to pull it off, you have to push A and B together, A slightly before B. Not sure why, but it works easily this way. Then you have the jump kick move and a toss attack, which deals twice the amount of damage of regular attacks. The super move drains a bit of health, so the best time to use it is when your opponent needs only 1 hit on you, and your special move won't kill you, so just go nuts. Now the moves you can perform in Turtles in Time, it's a lot. Every turtle has their own unique move, which is great because it adds to more fun when choosing different turtles. You have a jump button, an attack button, and a special button, but here your turtle performs a combo as well. In Turtles 3, your turtle doesn't perform a combo, so you're left with 4 different attack moves. In Turtles in Time, you can juggle an opponent, sliming him to the ground back and forth. You can toss an opponent, even toss an opponent towards the screen. And there are 2 different jump moves. You can also dash and tackle an opponent with it, but this is where we have a problem. A lot of times when I wanted to do that jump kick towards my opponent, the turtle would do that slow upward kick instead, leaving me open to take more hits. Then there's a level where you have to throw your opponents at the screen, but how do you do that? Most of the time it's done randomly, and sometimes it works by getting closer to the opponent, but like I said, most of the time these moves did not work for me. I mean, I'm glad that there are plenty of moves to work with, but you have a lot of buttons on the Super Nintendo controller, so there's no excuse to why they would cram so many moves into the same button. At first, in Ninja Turtles 3, I couldn't perform a special move at all, but I easily figured it out when I realized I had to push A slightly before B. But in Turtles in Time, I tried and tried and tried, but it was always working out randomly. This round goes to Turtles 3. Round 3, the gameplay. Both games have excellent gameplay, whether you barely have any moves or a lot. They both do a great job in keeping the players entertained. You can interact with objects in Ninja Turtles 3, you can do the same in Turtles in Time. This round is a quick one since both games are the same genre and it is all the same. You start at the level, you fight countless henchmen, you take down the boss of the level, and then you just pretty much rinse and repeat to the next levels. So who gets the point? It's a draw. On to the next round. The story. I'm going to start by talking about Turtles in Time first. The story in Turtles in Time is Krang steals a Statue of Liberty, so you gotta go kick some foot and get it back. You fight your way through every opponent and then reach the Technodrome where you face off against the Shredder, but you don't get to face him since he's in a huge ass machine with claws and pretty much plays as a screen. So you have to defeat him by throwing lots of Foot Clan at him. He then sends the Turtles through time, and this is where your next adventure begins. You then take on different opponents and they all fit the looks of the time zone you landed on. Then after going through many levels, you finally reach the end where you take on the Shredder, only you have to face him after he takes the ooze, making himself the Super Shredder. Take him out and the game is over. So is every level an adventure? Of course. Does it get repetitive? Well, they both do, but the different opponents that show up while you progress forward are what make the game more interesting and keeps you going. Now let's talk about the story in Ninja Turtles 3: The Manhattan Project. The Turtles are on vacation chilling at the beach in Florida. Then they check on the news and Shredder shows up, kidnaps April once again. But not only that, he then steals the entire island of New York City. I have no fucking idea how it's possible, but if it is possible to steal the Statue of Liberty and send the Turtles through time, then you can't talk shit. So then the Turtles have to take on the Foot Clan and every bad guy that gets in their way at the beach just to reach their surfboards and get back to New York City, where they run into a ship where they have to fight opponents and then finally reach the bridge of the island. That's where more action continues and you fight all over the city, including the sewers. The fight continues afterwards on your way to the tallest skyscraper, and the cool thing about all of this is that when you first started the game, everything began in the morning. By the time you get out of the sewers, you can notice that it's getting dark as the day goes by. While you're taking the elevator to the top, you can see the Twin Towers and a sunset, showing you that you've been fighting the entire day. Then by the time you reach the rooftop, it's nighttime. Can you honestly think of another game in the 8-bit or 16-bit era where the day actually went from morning to midnight while you were progressing? This was fantastic! I didn't notice it when I was a kid, but now that I'm analyzing everything about the game, it's hardcore! Also in the game, when you take on the Shredder, it's a one-on-one match, or two-on-one depending on whether you're playing one player or you have co-op with a friend. But it is epic. It's in a room where April is tied up and basically spectating the fight, hoping that you beat the Shredder. And Shredder fights you with a sword and he fights just like you. I mean, he performs the same moves you do, but a lot more effective. This fight with April spectating with a killer soundtrack, I mean, what's not to like? Then after beating him and untying April, he gets up and escapes. That's when you go into his spaceship and take down all the remaining bad guys. And once you get to the final stage, there's one more room left. That is where the Shredder awaits your arrival for a rematch. But you must first go through Krang, which is possibly the second hardest fight in the game. The hardest boss is of course the Shredder at the end. So after beating Krang, you're ready to take on the Shredder, but as you enter, he takes the ooze, making himself Super Shredder. This fight is fucking intense, and I'll explain the comparisons of the boss fights in the boss fighting comparison round. So after defeating him, you escape and the Shredder goes down with the entire ship exploding. On Turtles in Time, the interesting part is that you're going through time, fighting in the prehistoric era, a pirate ship, and other places. And that does sound great. I like time traveling games. This one just so happens to combine both two things that I love, time traveling and arcade beat 'em up. So which one wins the round? Again, it's gotta be a draw. I got no hate for either storyline. Ninja Turtles 3 executed it better by raising all of New York City, but Turtles in Time gave us time traveling. Next round. The music. This is one of my favorite parts. And sorry to all the Turtles in Time fans, but you gotta give this round to Ninja Turtles 3 without a doubt. The music in Ninja Turtles 3 is marvelous. Every level has its own unique song and they all hit perfectly. I can never get tired of listening to the music in the game, especially from stage 3. This song in the background is the song I'm talking about. It's fucking sweet, huh? This song has even been remixed on other channels and I can't wait to see the rest of the songs get remixed. One of the things that helps make a good game is the soundtrack. Many good games don't have this, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, a kick-ass game, but the music always needs to be turned off and you have to put on your own music. So what about the music from Turtles in Time? It's okay. It matches the tone of the 90s cartoon series, but is it anything new? Almost every Turtle game has a theme song in it, but is there anything else we can say? Does it have any memorable songs? No, none that I can think of except for like the first stage. Round clearly goes to Ninja Turtles 3. Up next, the boss fights. This one is a tough one because both games have some kick-ass baddies. Let's start with Ninja Turtles 3. We talked about the graphics, so we clearly know that the designs of each character look great. But are they memorable? Yes, they are. The first boss you take on is Rocksteady. He looks just like he did in the show and even whips out a fucking harpoon gun and puts up a good fight. Bebop comes out in the bridge level and he looks the same, as well as his weapon is a metal ball and a chain. Oh, and it's attached to his head. Weird, but we're talking about Ninja Turtles here, so that's just as random as walking, talking ninja crime fighting turtles. So anyways, we got other bosses like Ground Chuck, Slash, Dirtbag, Mother Mouse, Leatherhead, Toka, Razor, Krang, and the Shredder. The baddies from Turtles in Time are Baxter Stockman, Metalhead, the Rat King, Toka, Razor, Slash, Bebop, Rocksteady, Leatherhead, Krang, and the Shredder. So as you can see, both games have the same amount of bosses. So now let's compare their difficulties. Can you feel like it's a challenge every time you fight the same boss? Or can you easily beat every boss in the game? Not in Ninja Turtles 3. These bosses are possibly all equal in difficulty and it never changes. But are the bosses from Turtles in Time that hard to beat as well? Hell no. These guys go down just as fast as the henchmen. They're given a health bar, which at first it's as low as 4 small squares, and that's the first mistake. You give the bosses such a small health bar and expect the bosses to be fun? They'll be dead before you know it. What makes their inevitable death quicker is the fact that the first hit you get on them, they get stunned for about 5 seconds. Then after they recover, you wait for a couple seconds, then rinse and repeat. Simple as that. But in Ninja Turtles 3, oh man, it's an epic fight. You gotta get ready with some tactics if you want to survive the fight. After so many years of playing this game, I can never be sure whether I'll beat them in the first try. One of the things that makes it tougher is not knowing how many hits you got left to knock them out. I mean, they do turn red and it lets you know that you're close to defeating their asses. That's barely a little comfort because they get pissed and start going out even harder. Some even bust out with a new move. Like Leatherhead, douchebag starts choking you. Or Toka, he tries to friggin' eat you. What seems better, Shredder getting into a machine and defeating him by throwing the Foot Clan at him, or by taking on the Shredder himself? Of course, Shredder himself. It's a kick-ass fight, both times you fight him. In Turtles in Time, he's still fucking easy though. He has a longer life bar, but he still gets stunned just like the others. Clearly the round goes to Ninja Turtles 3. Now, the final round. The extras. Are there any extras in the games? Yeah, Turtles in Time has a one-on-one fight mode where both players get to duke it out. Can you do that in Ninja Turtles 3? Yeah, but it isn't its own versus mode. Instead, the way they pull it off is by choosing 2-player A mode. It allows you to hurt each other. A lot of 2-player games have this mode and no one seems to know why anybody would want to do this. Therefore, I see it as a 2-player versus mode that allows you to just take on each other. Not only that, you also have one long-ass stage to fight on instead of just having a small arena like every versus game. This is cool because you can fight anywhere against each other. The versus mode from Turtles in Time is cool and all, but wouldn't you like to fight your friend in any of the places you fight throughout the story? Well, let's see if Turtles in Time can at least get the artwork showdown. This is where I compare the art cover of both games to see which one did better. It's not really a big pointer, but it's good to compare it anyways. In Turtles in Time, the turtles are posing in front of the title with the time traveling effect in the background showing some of the areas you go through, like the pirate ship, a train, and even a Foot Clan soldier is riding a freaking dinosaur. The designs of the turtles look really good. Now let's check out the artwork for Ninja Turtles 3 The Manhattan Project. Holy fuck shells, now this is art. Look at how fucking epic this is. You got Donatello taking on a fucking Triceratops holding a big ass knife and shooting lasers at him. You got Michelangelo smashing two mousers together, hundreds of Foot Clan soldiers in the back, and I'm assuming there are more in front of them because Raphael looks ready to kick some ass at the opposite direction. Oh, and you got Leonardo jumping towards that buff ass Triceratops. But what else makes this picture look intense? Gee, I don't know, maybe it could be the entire fucking city of New York floating in mid-air? That's it, let's get to the veggies. What's the score on Turtles in Time? 4. The score for Ninja Turtles The Manhattan Project? 7. The winner is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 The Manhattan Project. Now, just because I didn't choose Turtles in Time doesn't mean I'm saying the game sucks. I think the reason why people prefer Turtles in Time more is because most gamers got more acquainted with the game since it was in the arcades. Also, there are lots of people out there that still think that better graphics mean the game is better, which is clearly not true. I grew up playing both games, and ever since my first experience, I had much more fun playing Ninja Turtles 3 The Manhattan Project, more than I did with Turtles in Time, and that's a lot to say because like I said, it's a great game, but it's not the best, maybe second best, but then again, it's only my opinion. Well, that's it for the showdown. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, leave a thumbs up, share, and subscribe if you haven't. And if there are any other games you want to see me do a comparison of, make a list on it on the comment section. Let me know about it, and I'll take a look at it. Anyways, I'll see you all tomorrow, and remember to have an awesome day.